Hi, it's me, Mitt-i-ST, and I did my evaluation today. Um, Somehow I feel so drained that I don't want to socialize with anyone. On the other hand, I tried to journal and I realized I couldn't. So here we are in this in-between world of like, I'm not actually talking to anyone, but I am talking to someone. And I I can't deal with the back and forth of conversation right now. I just need to monologue for a good bit. Um, so I did my evaluation for the middle of my residency, which was basically a whole day of this old man following me around and judging every single thing that I did, which was hell on earth. Also, like, I had slept so badly the day before, like last night. I got acid reflux, which like very rarely happens to me, but yeah, so I had acid reflux because of my anxiety, and so I could barely sleep. And then I realized I got my period right in the middle of a patient. Like, I had my inklings that I was going to start soon, but those of you who have periods know that there's a certain moment where it's like you feel a cramp and you feel like, okay, it's going to start now. And I was like, oh God, did it have to happen today, right now? And for me, it's pain and also this sense of impatience that I get. I feel like when you get a stomach ache, you kind of feel like not comfortable, and yeah, and so I had to keep moving on. And I also felt, when I get my period, I also feel like my temperature is not well regulated, so I felt like I was already sweating due to stress and adrenaline. And then I had this, and I felt like it was too hot and too cold at the same time, and I was shaky. Apparently, this guy noticed nothing because I told him about the fact that I was feeling very nervous at the end of the day, but he hadn't noticed any of that. So apparently, I'm able to mask certain things pretty well and pretend I'm fine, to the point where he wasn't noticing that I was about to like faint and throw up, basically. Oh wow, I've rarely felt so bad for such a long period of time. Like all day I was on edge and feeling like I was going to cry at any minute. And then, I had to follow him when we were eating lunch, because part of it is like getting to know the person. And I realized, like, I don't want to hang out with people. Like, when I'm stressed out, I don't want to deal with that. Yeah, I'm sitting by the library. The library is closed today because of that they're renovating. They're adding, like, they're putting a cafe in the front, so that there isn't going to be too many drug dealing things in front of the library. To be honest, I think that's what it's all about. But yeah, it's also to make it a nicer place to be. So yeah. So basically, I had 3 patients in the morning, and I felt like I had lost every single one of my brain cells, and I was doing my best, but yeah, I felt the adrenaline like God. And he didn't say anything during that time, but then afterwards he listened to me doing my, when I have a little flower here. When I write, I don't write, I get the secretaries to write, I have a dictaphone. And I have a certain specific way that isn't the normal way of dictating with a dictaphone. Like, I don't say the dots and the commas, which you're supposed to say. But it has always worked at my workplace because the secretaries, like, they know my voice and they can understand and gauge my speed and everything. But yeah, he didn't like that. He didn't like that I say it in that way and do things in that way, because he said, well, you might move to another place that where the secretaries can't follow what you're saying. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. But I'm not about to change that. Also, he did talk about my eye contact, which is bad, And he talked about how that I don't stand up straight. And it's like, yeah, I can't change that really, If I had followed what my mom has said throughout my whole life, then, I wouldn't be here today, And then, so what's good is that in the afternoon, when my patient unbooked or didn't come to the visit, so I actually got an hour free without having this guy next to me judging my every move, because he had to do some administrative work and I had to do some administrative work. So I got an hour of just, I could breathe and like not need to care about, what my face is saying or what I'm doing or the way that I'm just being. And it was such a relief. Because then, so during that time, I actually talked to my boss and I was like, should I join, should I not? And I realized, no, I don't want to join them. So I let them talk together, and then my supervisor and me came and had a talk with him. Now, he said that we would be done by 3. Like, my supervisor actually asked, are we going to be done by 3? Because at 3, it's time for coffee, and a lot of people are going to come into the coffee room where we're sitting and, start talking, and they might overhear us. And he was like, yeah, of course we'll be done by 3. Yeah. He ended up talking so long that he went on to talk until 3:20. And my supervisor, I could see that he had stopped writing. He was writing notes very assiduously at the beginning. And then he just stopped. And I saw how he was trying to end the conversation in certain very subtle ways. But he couldn't, because both me and my supervisor were autistic, and this guy just loved to talk. And at the end, like, I was just smiling the whole way through and like laughing at the appropriate times and doing all of the masking that I'm supposed to be doing. So I did that for an hour and a half, basically. Which, yeah, and also I did that the whole day, really, apart from 1 hour. And at the end of all of that, so what was good is that he went through like things that I could work on and things that were good. Apart from those few things that I can't change because I'm autistic. He doesn't know that, but yeah. There were certain things that I could change in that I could use more standard phrases, like scripting, really. Neurotypicals use scripts as well, especially in jobs, I think that I do scripting. It's just that my go-to sentences aren't most people's go-to sentences. So I think that that's where that problem lies. And so a lot of people can't interpret my custom sentences, my scripted sentences, in the way that, like, they interpret the neurotypical phrases much better because it's what they're used to. And the way that I say things is like confusing to a lot of people. Also, I did not like that he commented on my use of Swedish. Okay, I'm not really a native Swedish person because I didn't grow up in Sweden. So certain things about my language construction is not always right. Like the way that I put the words in the sentence are not always the way that a native Swedish person would do. And it's like, yeah, great, but at this point, that's not something that is work related, you know? Also, well, he talked a lot about himself, which, okay. He's a very different person from me. But, yeah. And my supervisor at the end, he was like, yeah, Ingrid, do you want to talk a little bit just on our own after all this? I was like, yeah, yeah, let's do that. So then we left him and we said bye and all that. And when I came to my room, I kind of started crying because I was like, such a relief that this day is over. And my supervisor said, yeah, didn't he talk a lot? And I was like, yeah, he talked an awful lot. And my supervisor was like, yeah, he's just a weird guy. So we both agreed that he wasn't the best of people to do my evaluation, And he said to not worry about the way that I do my my notes, the way I write my notes, and the way that I do the eye contact, and to not care about those things that are just part of who I am. But yeah, so there were some good things that I could learn from this. But that, I maybe just needed to calm down, get back home, get some rest, and, not think about it until tomorrow and like when I've processed all of this. So this video is a little bit a part of the processing. There were certain things that were good advice, especially when it came to like taking, not about taking the patient history and an anamnesis, but especially when it came to the actual practical stuff, how I was like doing the tests on a person's knee and that kind of thing. I wanted more tips on how to get structure, but he said something that was like, duh, and he acted like I wasn't doing this already, which kind of made me mad. He was like, yeah, before I have the patient visit, I write down the things I'm going to do before the visit. And yeah, I didn't do it while I was being evaluated because I didn't really know. Yeah, I didn't really know how these were going to go and if I was going to be able to go according to plan anyway. But it's like, yeah, I do that. I do write down, I'm going to listen to the heart, and I write these things down before the visits. It's just that when I'm stressed out for these patient visits, I'm not going to write that down. So, and he was like, this is so revolutionary. It's not. Believe me, I've tried different organization techniques. Yeah, but he's neurotypical and he doesn't know. I mean, I'm guessing that he's neurotypical. I don't know. At least he's not diagnosed with anything. Because I definitely would have heard of that because he just kept talking about himself the whole time. But yeah, I'm glad that I didn't reveal too much of myself. Or that, I actually felt like I was about to cry several times during the day, and he didn't notice any of that. So I think I did a good job just maintaining the facade all day. But yeah. So the thing is, that kind of pisses me off, is that a lot of people say that they got more out of it in the end from this evaluation day then they fear the actual day. And you know, he asked me like, was it as scary as you thought it would be? And I'm like, I don't know how scary I thought it would be. But yeah, it was definitely scary. Like, and I don't know how much I got out of this. I did it mostly because I had to. Like, I'm proud of myself for having managed through it, but I don't feel like it was worth so much all of this energy expenditure to like get a few tips. I mean, the tips were good, but I found that there was so much crap that I needed to throw out from this whole situation, that the little nuggets of truth buried in there are like, you know, I guess that I wouldn't have gotten this in any other kind of situation. So I guess that it's good in that sense that I did it. It's like a once in a residency opportunity, basically a once in a lifetime opportunity, because there's no other situation where you will be followed through all day unless you get, last time was when I was doing my internship, and we had to do, but that was a sit-in test. It wasn't like this kind of test, and you would have like a sit-in, like a person would sit with you for one patient during a day, and then you'd have another patient like 6 months later. This was like a lot. The next big thing that I would have to do would be the big test at the end of my residency, and that isn't even obligatory. Part of the reason why I did this mid-residency evaluation is that it kind of dispenses me from having to do the end of residency test. But to be honest, I think that the end of residency test is going to be theoretical rather than practical, and not a person following me all day. So I think that I'd rather have preferred that than doing whatever I did today. Yeah, we don't have these board thingies in Sweden, so it's not like you're getting evaluated all the time once you're a specialist, which is both good and bad, because what if you just get worse and worse with time, you don't update your knowledge and your way of doing things. Yeah, there is a real... Oh, there's a cat. Oh, there's a cat. Oh. There he is. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. just some random cat. I am going to end this video now, but yeah, I need to take care of my body and my mind right now. So have a great day, everybody. Bye.